Well, today's going to be an abbreviated version of our Water Resources Outlook to try and get us through the doldrums of summer and the middle of July. So our first graphic here is showing the precipitation, the departure from normal from the last 30 days. And as you can see over much of the central part of the southeast, Georgia, Alabama, and South Carolina, we've been below normal during this time. On the fringes in North Carolina, on the peninsula of Florida, and a little bit in Mississippi, we've been a little bit above normal. So a mix in the southeast, which is pretty typical for this time of year. How does that affect the stream flows, the 28-day stream flows? As you can see, again, a mixed bag in here where we have a lot of the area with normal stream flows and a few areas of above. Central Florida is one of those places. Around Charlotte is one of those places. And then some below as we start to dry out a little bit in the Savannah Basin in central Georgia and in parts of those areas. But as a whole, stream flows are pretty normal for this time of year. Here's the drought monitor, and each time we have a little bit more dryness, we're starting to show more abnormally dry conditions over a greater portion of the southeast. We're still don't have any drought, and we'll be watching to see if we get some more rainfall to try and alleviate that, and we'll talk about the future rainfall here in just a minute. So where are we within our flood climatology? Well, we're now in the 28th week of the year, and so this is still kind of a quiet time for flooding. We do tend to get a little bit of flooding, and in Florida, we tend to get a little bit more during this time of year. It's their wet season. But as a whole, this is usually a quiet time of year as we ramp up to the peak of hurricane season, which comes in that 37th to 40th week of the year. So we're still in the middle of that summertime period, usually a quiet time for flooding. So here's our 7-day rainfall forecast, and we've got a trough in the east, and it looks like it's going to kind of stay persistent. We have plenty of moisture over the southeast and some instability. And so especially along the Gulf Coast, up in the mountains in South Carolina and North Carolina and North Georgia, and in Florida, it looks like we have a good chance over the next 7 days of seeing some rainfall. Two areas that aren't seeing quite as much are in the northern Mississippi and northern Alabama area, and up in Virginia and North Carolina. Not quite as much over the next 7 days, but over the bulk of the southeast, we are going to see some at least near normal to some above normal rainfall in some of those areas. And then that goes from Friday July 25th through Thursday, July 31st, we're going to have a trough over the southeast, and which means a ridge over that middle part of the country where they're going to be a little bit drier. But the trough in the southeast, trough over the east, is going to keep most of the southeast for better than normal chances of having rainfall. So it looks like over the next couple of weeks we're going to stay in a bit more wet pattern than we have been, and that could benefit some of those areas that have been abnormally dry. For the 1 month outlook from the Climate Prediction Center, they are showing a little bit of dryness for August, and that kind of extends from our midterm outlook, that it looks like we'll have a little bit of that dryness. We'll have to see if we continue to have that trough, because that's kind of what we're setting up for right now. It's possible that this could be a little bit off, but we'll have a water resources outlook sometime at the beginning of August, and we'll look a little bit closer at that August forecast. As for the 3-month outlook, August through October, this gets us through the bulk of hurricane season. And right now, with a suspected quieter than normal hurricane season and nothing to lean us one way or the other, they're showing equal chances for below normal, near normal, and above normal precipitation. And that looks fairly reasonable based on all the forecasts that are out there. And so the bottom line, in the short term, we're going to have a better chance for thunderstorms for the southeast, a little better than we had in June. Maybe not quite so hot for the next couple of weeks. And Florida, our wet season is in full swing, and we're getting some flooding because of that in Central Florida. We've had a little bit more rainfall, a little bit more water in those rivers. So that trend could continue as we start to see maybe more of those points go into flood. As for the long term, near normal continues in the summer. We had a little drier earlier. Now maybe looks like maybe a little bit wetter. So kind of balances out a little bit, but still looking for a quieter than normal tropical season. Our next Water Resources Outlook is scheduled for July 29th. Thank you for joining us on our Water Resources Outlook today. You can find more information at www.weather.gov/SERFC. You can also find us on Facebook. And if you have any questions concerning this or anything else about the River Forecast Center, you can contact me at todd.hamill@noaa.gov.